What up, what up, what up? Phil here. What is going on, GLE Nation? Hope you're having a great day today. Thanks for joining us once again. Got a real truth for you today. But first, if you haven't yet, go check out goleadeverything.com/gear and grab some gear. Show your support for the show, rep the brand, and here we go. Oh, and if you haven't subscribed yet, Phil Swanson channel, YouTube, go to the Phil Swanson channel. There's another Phil Swanson on there that also plays guitar. You see the guitars behind me, so everyone's always asking me about those. Another Phil Swanson on there that's not me, but look for the dude in the black suit, Phil Swanson channel. We're growing this year, especially focused on growing the YouTube channel. Just past 200 subscribers. Thanks to those who have subscribed already. I think we're at about 219 right now, and it's cool to watch how the exponential growth kind of happens. Right, like we put out content for a number of years, but it wasn't until we really started putting out shorts and really just asked people to start growing the YouTube channel and helping grow the YouTube channel this year that people really went and began subscribing. So appreciate that. And if you share the show, we'll get this message out to more people. So let's jump right in. Today's show, I want to share a thought with you on efficiency, effectiveness. How do you become more efficient and more effective? This is something I think a lot about, and it's by necessity, truly. If you are married, if you have kids, life begins to get extremely busy. Mix in a couple side businesses, full-time jobs, that sort of stuff. You can imagine, you got volunteer work. It takes up a lot of time. There's only so many hours in a day. So how do you do all these things? I've mentioned that before. I always get asked, when do I find time to do all these things? Well, you got to make the time, one, but I was thinking about this the other day as I continue to maximize my time and find ways to become more efficient, to dedicate time more effectively. I wanted to share a couple of those strategies with you. And the first one is, if you haven't maximized your schedule yet, and what I mean by that is if you still have on your calendar, maybe you don't even use a calendar yet. One, if you don't use a calendar, you definitely are not maximizing your time. Guaranteed. I'm guilty. I didn't use a calendar until after my college years and really didn't start using it effectively until I was almost 30. So it's all good. But if you're not using a calendar, you're definitely not being effective. And then my next question is, on your calendar, do you have big chunks of time where you have unplanned activities, where you hang out, where you chill, where you don't think about anything, goof off, watch TV, drink, right? It's okay. I had that too, right? It's okay to do that sometimes as well, but all things in moderation. And if you're really trying to be highly effective and efficient with your time, until you really fill up all of your time with dedicated, I want to do these things, you will not be forced to be more efficient. So I'd argue that the only real way to maximize your efficiency is to literally map out every hour in a day. And then if you only have a certain block of time dedicated to activity, because here, how many people do you know that work long hours, right? They, 10, 12, 16, and that's all good, right? Like I'm not discouraging that. And I think we should put time in above and beyond. I do the same myself. My question though is, if you don't have limits on the time that you're dedicating to things, and I'll give you this example. If you've ever had a last minute deadline on a project, for example, or a last minute request come in, or somebody needs something in an hour. Got to do it. I got this meeting. I got to have this 1 hour. You got 1 hour. Did you get it done? Did you get it done in that time constraint? I've heard Elon Musk talk about this. If you plan to clean your room for a week, in the next week, it'll take you a week. And if you plan to clean it in a day, it'll take you a day. And I know from experience, if you're having people over to your house in an hour or two, you can get your room clean just like that, right? Boom. 30 minutes. You can do damage. So, one of the ways that I've found to be most effective to become more efficient and effective is to put boundaries on your time for specific activities. I really like Ed Milet's strategy of the days within a day. I'm sure there's other. He may not have invented this. I'm sure it came. Many people probably do this, but I've begun implementing it myself. I actually traded my unproductive time in the evenings from like 8 p.m. after my daughter goes to sleep till midnight, or whoever knows, 1, 2. I mean, how many of you stay up late binge watching stupid TV, having some beers, whatever you're doing, eating snacks, eating crap food, right? That was always because at the end of the day, I'm mentally exhausted. I'm drained, I'm tired, just want to chill, just want to zone out. That's unproductive time for me. And so what I did for the first time in my life at 34, right? Just turned 35, 34. I decided, hey, look, I'm going to give myself a bedtime like a little kid. Give myself some structure. I've never had a bedtime in like my entire life. Maybe I did when I was younger, like real young. But for the most part, I never really had a dedicated, you go to bed at this time. So I decided, hey, look, I'm going to start going to bed by 9 p.m. My daughter's in bed by 8. We're having devotions. We're praying as a family. And 8:30, 9 o'clock, lights are off. Phone is on the other side of the room with the alarm set for 3 a.m., which most people think is crazy. But I'm still getting 6 hours of sleep, right? I'm going to bed at 9, so it's not that crazy. But guess what? Now when I get up at 3, I have the most productive time of my day from 3 to 6 a.m. before I got to start getting ready to head to the office, all that stuff. So, I've given myself a block of time, which I consider it my first day in the Ed Milet mindset of days within a day, right? I've got my first day from 3 a.m. to 8 a.m., right? So that's a 5-hour block where I'm doing work, I'm reading, I'm praying, I'm writing goals, I'm planning out my life, I'm putting together projects, I record podcasts like this one, right? I do all that. I get up early to do it, right? You probably think it's crazy. But when you get real with yourself about what you want and about the things that are important to you, you have to really decide which things serve you and which things don't. And when you need to become more efficient, there's only one way. You got to do the work to maximize your time and force yourself to be more efficient. So, then my second day is my work day. And then after work is my dedicated time for my family day, right? So that's my daughter. In the mornings with my daughter and my wife, we do devotions. We listen to God's word. We listen to 3 chapters of the Bible, an audio Bible every morning. And then at night we read a little devotion, pray, and go to bed right before bed. But at night, that's my dedicated, 2-3 hours before 8 o'clock, where I'm spending time with my daughter and my wife. Right. And so those are kind of like my days within a day, just to give you some perspective. Now, is that pretty rigid? Yeah. Do I got to say no to a lot of stuff? Like, hey, let's go drink, or hey, let's go do this party, or hey, let's go stay up late. No, I still do some of that stuff, right? I still occasionally deviate depending on what's going on. But what it's forced me to do in the blocks I have is I have to be way more effective with my time, because there's not just no boundary, right? Like there's a hard cutoff of like, all right, this day's ending and I got to go home and I got to do these other things. So I got to be more effective with this time. And then it forces you to become more efficient, more effective. And you don't end up really moving slow and inefficient, right? And this is really important because I really, truly do not believe you can be efficient and effective. And I'm still working to get better every day. But I don't think you can be efficient and effective unless you've maximized your time and you're not wasting, when I say wasting, just goofing off with large chunks of leisure time that you're constantly eating into because you're not getting your stuff done during your dedicated time to be productive on those things, right? So just a quick episode today, some mindset on efficiency, effectiveness, maximizing your time. This is one of the best ways that you can do it, is by filling up your time. It seems counterproductive, right? It's like, oh man, I don't have enough hours in the day to get stuff done. Okay. Well, do you have any spare time? Yeah. Well, fill that up with productive things and go even harder. And it's going to force you to change. You'll have to get better by necessity. You will have to get better. One of the things I've heard people say, which really resonates with me, because I think back to my college days playing sports. I thought I was a disciplined guy. I was getting up early, was working out 6 a.m., 3 days a week, going to practice, going to class and engineering, doing all the hard stuff. I was a leader on the team, so I had to be an example for the team. I'd go wake up teammates who couldn't get themselves out of bed at 5 a.m. I'd go wake them up before lifting and drag them drunk or whatever over to practice, right? Goofing off, dumb college kids, right? I was one too sometimes, right? But I realized the reason I did those things was because I had to do them in my mind. I had to do them. I didn't have an option. And then when I've grown up, independent on my own, I stopped working out, became undisciplined, didn't have those same habits. Why? Because I didn't have to. And when I've heard people saying, it really rings true to me. If you create a situation where you have to do something, you'll get it done. And so you can create these artificial boundaries, or real boundaries around you, to where you have to succeed. You have to get these things done. You have to be more efficient with your time. And if you have to, chances are you will. So hope you all enjoyed this episode today. If you haven't subscribed yet, Phil Swanson channel, YouTube, head over there, give me a little subscribe. Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, got the iHeart shirt on today. Go give me a subscribe on the audio platforms too. Check out goleadeverything.com/gear, support the show, and as you go, lead everything.